I want to thank you for joining us for our 79th annual meeting. Be streamed via Facebook tonight, and we also have FM transmitter for members to receive by radio outside. Due to COVID issues, we just have a few employees in here tonight, and we really appreciate the support as we manage through this COVID situation and work through our annual meeting. At this time, I would like to call the meeting to order and declare that we have a quorum. I would like to say that I appreciate the members voting online and by mail. We've had over 2,500 members vote. That is the best participation we've had in an annual meeting ever that I know of. And I'd like to say thank you for participating in that. At this time, I'd like to ask you to bow your heads. I'd like to give an invocation, please. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, as we come to you tonight, we want to thank you for your many blessings. We want to thank you for our staff, our board of directors, and our great membership that supports us every day. Keep your guiding hand on our staff as we manage through the winter months and going into spring. Keep your guiding hand on our linemen as they work daily, and keep them safe that they'll return home each and every day. As we manage through COVID, Lord, please keep your hand on our community. Help us through these struggles. Help us through this sickness. Help our doctors and emergency staff to take care of us. And most importantly, Lord, thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ, that died on the cross. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, tonight I will be brief. Ray and I are going to handle the meeting tonight. Ray will be handling the election of directors, and he'll be handling the minutes. So I want to touch on a few things. Wendy had published the Carolina Country, and this is what the cover had looked like. And in that, we had a manager's report, basically a statement of operations. And what I want to do tonight is go over that just a little bit and touch on some numbers. So what we're reporting on is the financials for 2019. In 2019, we closed the year out with a total revenue of $57.7 million. Our wholesale power cost was $31.3 million. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, if you have your Carolina Country, in the bottom right-hand corner, I want to touch on that wholesale power cost. 60 cents of every dollar that comes in the co-op goes towards wholesale power costs. So it is our biggest expense. Our net margins for the year, we had net margins of $5,081,331. This money will be allocated and returned back to the members in patronage capital. And also this year, the board elected to retire $1.1 million. This paid off the year of 1994 that we owed members on capital credits. So I hope everyone had received a bill credit. You should have received it by now if you had service in 1994. If not, please let us know. I want to go over to our balance sheet and talk about what our present value is. The present value of our system right now is slightly over $113 million. Our total assets total $141 million. I'd also like to talk about some things that drive the cost, but explain why we're doing these things. So about 5 or 6 years ago, we set out on a mission to really beef up and work on our system as far as maintenance goes. And we got a very intensive maintenance program. And we have made it through the first 5-year cycle and starting the second one. A lot of other projects that we have done in 2019 was out of Baltimore substation. We upgraded a circuit for $845,000. Mining Ridge substation, we worked on 2 sections of line out of Mining Ridge coming back towards North Elkin and CC Camp. One section of that line was $740,000. The other section was $135,000. Also, to prepare for Double Creek substation that I've talked to you about previously in other annual meetings, and you've seen in our Carolina country, that is a big project that we've got going on. We had to get positioned with a new delivery point at Mount Airy, which is located over at the Ararat Long Hill community. That delivery point was completed in 2019. It is basically a delivery substation sitting beside the existing substation. The cost of that project was $640,000. We also made some upgrades to our Pinnacle delivery for $119,000. Our Fairview substation needed some capacity increased under it. We spent $60,000 there. Mining Ridge, we did the same thing, spending about $31,000. And to get the tap connected between the delivery at Mount Airy and Westville, to get the feed from our transmission provider, we spent about $55,000. So the total of those projects were about $2.6 million. We've also replaced 28 miles of aging copper, and we've spent about $2.5 million on that, and we have a lot in place over the next several years, and we'll continue to do that. Bad poles were changed out for the year. We changed out 211 bad poles for $605,000. We've done numerous other projects that I've not listed here tonight, but in total we have spent $5.7 million on our infrastructure. So with that, I'd like to say that we're growing some, and we're growing for the first time in several years. We're growing at about 1% this year, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but for a cooperative that has not grown in several years and has actually, since I've been manager, we've actually have went backwards, and we'll go back for a little bit and then we'll move forward for a little bit. So it's kind of stabilized, but this year we are continuing to grow. We're seeing a lot of housing building going on in our area. We're seeing new construction. We're also seeing members spend a lot of money on upgrades on their homes, so we're seeing service changes. Talk to you just a little bit, since that completes the financials, I'd like to talk to you just a little bit about what we're doing in the community. In 2019, our employees and staff worked hard along with the community to raise $34,900 for the Fallen Lineman organization. In 2020, our golf tournament was delayed due to COVID, and we had delayed it and then basically just canceled it completely due to COVID. But we were able to work with our donors and still collect $6,700. One of our projects this year, and we had several that we will go back in our 2021 golf tournament and contribute to that we had obligated to, but one of our projects that we made a donation to out of that golf tournament fundraiser was $5,000 for the Children's Center of Northwest North Carolina. The Children's Center has built a new children's home here in Dobson, and that $5,000 went to help that building campaign. In 2020, our staff has kicked off food drives, knowing that members and the community was suffering with being out of work, COVID issues, and we knew that the food supply was low. We felt it was a great time to work with Second Harvest Food Bank. So between the cooperative and the employees, we have raised $1,700. We've also received some matching grants from CoBank, one of our banking organizations. The food drive that we're going to kick off November the 9th through the 18th, it's designed to fill a truck here in the parking lot. And that truck will be here on November the 18th from 9 to 1. And we've got some internal competition going on between our departments, and we've broken our departments up, and we've got a little friendly competition going on to see if we can fill that truck. I'd like to encourage members to come by. There'll be a chance to register for door prizes. Wendy will be giving away some door prizes. We'd like to ask you to come by and make a non-perishable donation. This goes to a great cause, the Second Harvest Food Bank, and they're very supportive of our area. In 2019, the marketing department, Wendy and Megan, had presented Bright Idea Grant Teacher Awards to 11 teachers, totaling $6,250. In 2019, we sent one child to the Youth Leadership Cooperative Council and one to the Youth Tour sponsored by North Carolina Electric Cooperatives. We hosted the Children's Center for a Thanksgiving meal and some activities, and we sponsored multiple families with Christmas gifts and meals. And that's some of the work that our employees do off the clock. I'm real proud of them for supporting the community and the things that we do. I always like to touch on that just a little bit. In this year's report, the country, I didn't present a lot about renewables, but I'm going to give you an update on that. Typically, I do that when we have an annual meeting. I do a booklet handout. But I'd like to talk about that just a little bit. Since 2007, when Senate Bill 3 was passed, we spent $1.3 million towards renewables. I guess one of the biggest projects that we're proud of, and we mention every year it continues to produce great, is our Fairview Solar Farm. We're also working in the cooperative world. There's 26 co-ops in North Carolina alone, and we're working for a brighter future. And in a brighter future, we've got projects that we've already got up and running and other projects in the queue to go within the next year to be running. And also, we have some projects in the queue that we're excited about, so I'll touch on that. But I'd like to talk about the microgrid projects that we've got going on that all the cooperatives have participated in. And one of the great stories is the Butler Farms at South River, Heron's Nest at Brunswick, and Roseacre Farms at Tideland. These microgrids are a solar battery storage combo, and they really work good during storm times. And they also help offset the wholesale power cost. We're starting to see members engage a little bit more than home rooftop solar. And what I'd like to let you know that we do support this, and we think it's great for members, and we think it can be cost efficient. But if you have questions and you're approached by a solar developer, we'd like for you to reach out to us and let us discuss rates with you and go over the savings with you and help you in any way that we can. Also, home battery storage, we're seeing more of that in our area, so the same goes for home battery storage. Reach out to our customer service reps. They'll get you in touch with our engineers, and we'll walk through our rate design and see how it best fits your needs. In our portfolio mix, I'll cover it just a little bit on the wholesale power side. We have about 24% gas. Our biggest part of our portfolio mix is nuclear at 57%. We still have about 5% of coal. Our hydro is at about 2%, and our renewables are at 5%. Our outside purchases are at about 7%. I want to go back to Brighter Future campaign that you'll see us kicking off and talking a lot about over the next couple years. Wendy will be reaching out to you in Carolina Country articles, and there'll be bill stuffers and a marketing campaign for this. So our commitment is to reduce our carbon emission by 50%, and that's from the 2005 levels. By 2030, that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to reduce it 50% by 2030. And then we want to be net zero carbon emissions by 2050. This will take a while, but we do have a plan in place, and it's part of our brighter future and moving forward. Talk to you just a little bit about our EV charging network. A couple years back, North Carolina Electric Cooperatives partnered with all the co-ops in the state to build a network ring around the state. That ring was designed to get chargers in the rural communities and help members' anxiety about traveling without being able to find a charger. That's been a successful project for us. We continue to invest in electric chargers, and we feel that electric cars are coming. I think they're coming a little slower for our area, but I do think they're coming. The investments that we've made so far is at the Fairfield Hampton Inn at CC Camp, we have 2. At the Hampton Inn in Dobson, we have 1. We have 1 at our office, and we just have installed the first fast charger for Circle K in North Carolina, and it's installed at the 77 Dobson exit. And there was a big gap between Charlotte and Roanoke up through 77 and across the Virginia line to be able to have access to fast chargers, so we were tickled that we were able to fill that gap and help out with that. Also, we're in the process of working with Surry Community College and Surry Communications to install a level 2 charger for their visitors and members. With that, we will continue to promote rates such as shift to save, or some people know it as time of day rates. Right now we have 1,131 members on that rate. That's a great rate. I encourage you, if you have high bills and you would like to take control of your power, this is a great opportunity for you to do that. This rate's set up to where you shift off of our own peak times, and it'll help reduce your power cost. Once again, I'd like to say thank you to the membership for support of our management team and our staff. I'd like to say thank you to the board of directors. And as we manage through COVID, we've had struggles this year, just like every other business had, and extra expense, and I'll be reporting on those a little bit next year once we get the tallies in. But so far, our staff has done a good job. We've had some exposure, and we've had some work changes, work delays, and some other issues that's come along with COVID, but like everybody else, we're managing through it. So it's been a trying year, but it's been a successful year so far, 2020 has. But once again, thank you so much for the opportunity to serve as your manager. At this time, I'm going to introduce our General Counsel, Mr. Raymond Parker.
Thank you, Greg. To all listening on FM and to those on Facebook, welcome. My task is to handle the legal or the business part of this meeting. I will point out that the official notice of this meeting was sent this year by letter, September 22nd of 2020. That letter advised all of you that about the changes that were being made in this meeting due to the COVID restrictions. It also advised you that the elections for directors would be by mail-in or electronic ballots for this year, and that would be done by third-party survey and ballot systems. The minutes of the annual meeting for 2019 have been approved by the directors, but since we don't have members present to review those, I will at this time stop and take the time to read those minutes to you. The 78th annual meeting of the members of Surry-Yadkin Electric was convened at 10:30 a.m. on Saturday, October the 5th, 2019 at Surry Central High School in Dobson, North Carolina. Let me remove this. President Toby Speaks welcomed the members to the 78th annual meeting of the members of Surry-Yadkin Electric membership. Mr. Speaks announced that there are currently 20,817 members of Surry-Yadkin and that 300 members had registered for today's meeting. Mr. Speaks declared that a quorum was present and called the business meeting to order. Vice President Willard Swift gave the invocation. Mr. Speaks introduced Executive Vice President and General Manager Greg Puckett. Mr. Puckett presented called upon the Surry Central Junior ROTC to present the colors, and the Surry Central High School Chorus sang the national anthem. Mr. Puckett next introduced visiting guests and recognized Surry-Yadkin employees and the Board of Directors. Mr. Puckett next presented the General Manager's report, and a copy of that report is on file at the company offices. Mr. Raymond A. Parker was introduced as General Counsel for the Cooperative. Mr. Parker summarized the notice of meeting and proof of mailing for today's meeting. The notice of meeting and proof of mailing are attached to the minutes. Mr. Parker announced that the minutes from the October 16 annual meeting had been distributed to, reviewed by, and approved by the Board of Directors, and copies were made available at the annual meeting at registration. Mr. Parker then entertained a motion to dispense with the formal reading of the minutes from October 6. That motion was unanimously approved. Mr. Chad Bullington, chairperson of the 2019 nominating committee, gave the report of that committee. He reported that on July the 23rd at 2019 at 7 p.m., the nominating committee had met and nominated the following individuals to serve for a 3-year term. District 3, Mr. Willard Swift. District 8, Mr. David Miller. District 10, Mr. Eddie Campbell. Mr. Bullington reported that no petitions had been submitted in accordance with the bylaws and that there were no other nominations. Mr. Bullington then made a motion to elect the 3 nominated directors to 3-year terms by acclamation. That motion was seconded and the motion passed. Mr. Parker then declared Mr. Willard Swift, Mr. David Miller, and Mr. Eddie Campbell elected as directors for 3-year terms. Mr. Parker announced the agenda items had been completed. There was no old or new business. Mr. Parker then adjourned the business portion of the annual meeting and introduced Ms. Wendy Wood, Manager of Communications and Community Relations, to conduct the drawing for door prizes. The nominating committee for Surry-Yadkin Electric membership met on Tuesday evening, July the 28th of 2020. At that meeting, the committee deliberated and nominated from District 1, Caroline Overby, as director from District 1. Mr. Stephen Hudspeth as director representing District 2. And Ms. Brenda Hardy as director representing District 4. There were no other nominations, and that report was posted. There have also been no petitions to nominate others for the Board of Directors for 2020. Surveying Balloting Systems mailed out the ballots to 20,950 members of Surry-Yadkin Electric. 1,839 of those ballots were paper ballots were returned, and 731 web ballots were completed. The results of the election as certified by Surveying Ballot Systems. Ms. Caroline Overby received 2,269 votes. Mr. Stephen Hudson received 2,178 votes. And Ms. Brenda Hardy received 2,254 votes. That being a large majority, I hereby declare that Ms. Caroline Overby, Mr. Stephen Hudson and Ms. Brenda Hardy are elected for 3-year terms as directors of Surry-Yadkin Electric Membership Corporation, representing their respective districts. That concludes the business portion of this meeting. I would now like Ms. Wendy Wood, Manager of Communications and Community Relations, to come forward, and she will announce the winners of this year's prizes. Ms. Wood.
Good evening. I have the winners of the 21 prizes being awarded this year to members who returned a ballot either online or in the mail for the director elections. These winners were randomly selected by our third-party election vendor, Survey and Ballot Systems. We will start with the bill credits. The 4 winners of $50 bill credits are Thomas E. Westra, Danny W. Hooker, Arnold Malden, and Kenneth E. Putnam, Jr. The 4 winners of $100 bill credits are Vera Cockrum, Beverly A. Hairston, James T. Henson, and Sharon K. Gordon. The 6 winners of the $125 bill credits are Cecil Barber, Judy J. Jessup, Emily N. Martin, Joe A. Wilmuth, Daniel M. Beseth, and Henry S. Brown. 4 winners of the $250 bill credits are Mariana Hernandez, M. Carolyn McBride, Mary H. Seokin, and Timothy J. Marion. The 2 winners of $250 Visa gift cards are Joseph A. Laskus and Morgan B. Newton. And for this year's grand prize, a 2013 Ford truck retired from the SYEMC fleet, the winner is Charles H. Shelton. For those winning bill credits, those credits will be posted to your account on Wednesday, October 28th, tomorrow. We will be reaching out to the winners of the gift cards and the retired fleet truck tomorrow to make sure they know they won and explain how the prizes will be distributed. Congratulations to all of our winners. This concludes our 2020 annual business meeting, so I am adjourning the meeting, and I hope you all have a great night.